What's up, everyone? Hey, I want to talk about just health in general. It's Sunday, sitting back watching some football, and just had my steak and egg breakfast. Freedom of information is so vital in our day and age, and this is not going to be a political thing. This is going to be straight just on health, right? But if you think back when I was a kid, when I was younger, there used to be this thing where everyone was pushing that, things like, eating meat, red meat in particular, eggs, these things were all bad for you. They tried to shove down oatmeal as a breakfast item, right? These big, heavy meals, to start your day. And then, lighten your meals as you kind of go throughout the day. And I mean, this all went through the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and then you had this kind of shift, right, where people started kind of waking up, and that's the beauty of the First Amendment is that we can go out there and we can spew out what we believe is right, contrary to whatever the narrative, the mainstream narrative is, right, and you started seeing literature and videos and posts about how switching to carnivore diets, Mediterranean keto style diets were going to be a little bit better for weight loss, right? You're not going to be packing on all the weight with all the carbohydrates that you're inputting into your body. And so I started somewhere around in the 2010s, started to kind of shift my way of thinking, right? Definitely towards the late 2010s. And over the past like 4 years have been really like diving into the meat first, carbohydrates last. So I basically eat meats, I eat greens, and then if I have anything less, then I'll throw some carbs in there, right? One couple of takeaways from the past 10 years is sugar is bad if you haven't heard, right? Salt, though this was pushed when I was younger, salt was the worst thing that you can do for your heart or whatever. Yeah, also not that bad. Most of the Earth's water is like trapped in salt. Salt's not that bad for you. I'm not telling you to drink seawater. That would be idiotic, but salt's not that bad for you. We need sodium, right? It helps you process things in your kidneys. It helps you get rid of things. Excess sugar, though, however, on the other hand, will end up trapping your body's ability to be able to dispel salts from your body. It also adds to spikes insulin and all those other things, right? So I was pre-diabetic for probably about 5 years. Had a A1C of around 6.6, 6.7, right? And then my cholesterol was somewhere in the 280 to 300 range. HDL was horrible. LDL was horrible. So I had none of the good cholesterol, none of the bad, or all of the bad cholesterol. And it was just bad. So I switched. Contrary to what everyone else was telling me, what my nutritionist was telling me, what my doctors were telling me, I was like, I got to try something because whatever this is, it's not working. The medication, medication can be the only way that I bring down these levels, these dangerous levels, right? That ultimately are going to lead to like strokes and heart attacks, things of that sort, right? So I started one on keto, right? And then I went and switched over to full carnivore. Now I do kind of a blend of kind of like a mixed greens diets and mainly just a high protein diet. I wouldn't call it keto, wouldn't call it carnivore, wouldn't really call it paleo, but it's paleo-esque, right? Somewhere in that range. Meats, beef, fish, eggs, chicken, game meat, greens, and if I don't do greens because it spoils or whatever, then I at least do an athletic green supplement. Supplementing is awesome, by the way. Especially if you get the right supplements, do your research on the absorption and all of that. But switching to this, now fast forward to 2024, I went from almost 270 pounds down to my average is similar, somewhere sitting around 220, right? But solid. I mean, I'm fairly fit. I'm almost 45 years old. Um, I have, I don't want to say no body fat, but I'm somewhere sitting in the, 12 to 15% range, somewhere there. It's healthy, right? I mean, if I were going to be doing competitions and stuff, maybe I want to get somewhere down the 7 to 9 range, but why? Sustainability for that, it's pretty difficult. I just want to live. I want to be functional. I want to be able to hunt. I want to be able to, continue on my badassery if I need to, be able to pick up my rifle and not be gassed, as I'm just doing normal move and shoot stuff. I remember when I was on those diets, I was getting a lot of headaches. I was getting a lot of numbness in my legs. I couldn't figure out exactly what it was, but a lot of excess weight, a lot of pinched nerves. And though I still deal with some level of pain and nerve stuff, it's just from nerve damage from beating my body up for over 20 years in the military. A lot of that stuff has subsided a lot by some of the things that I'm doing. And it's not just diet, but it does really start with diet. If you're in your 30s right now, and my key demographic is there within that 25 to 55 range, right? But if you're in your early, if you're in your 20s, fuck, the body can be so forgiving, you can beat it up. But it comes down to a certain point where that's no longer the case. And your body doesn't react the way that it used to. It doesn't recover the way that it used to. You're not able to eat the things that you do. Shit, you're going to develop probably some allergies to foods and things that you never have been allergic to. Hell, I can't eat kiwi or zucchini ever again in my life because it starts swelling my throat up. And that I used to love those things as a kid. But your body does weird things after a certain point. If you're in your 40s, it's not too late. You got to start somewhere. You got to start now before you get into the latter half of your life and your body no longer wants to cooperate with you because you've done so much damage to it. But even then, any years that you can tack onto the back end that could be healthy, great. I have this thing that, to me, it's not about longevity of life. It's about quality of life. Not about the quantity of years that I live, but the quality of the years that I have, right? So if you're in your 30s, start now. Start shifting the way that you view food. Stop drinking alcohol, man. Alcohol is so horrible for you. And I know people are going to hate me over this because, everyone needs a crutch. Everything needs something to go back to. But take it from an alcoholic who, a recovered alcoholic who, I drank every day for 7 years from the day that I came home from Iraq. My second deployment, my second overseas deployment. From that day for 7 years, never missed a day of drinking minus 2 days. And one of them was the day that my mom passed. So alcohol is just one of those things that doesn't matter how much health things you do from there. I've seen very, very healthy people in their 60s, but they were heavily drinkers and boom, heart attack, boom, liver disease, boom, strokes, you name it. It's just one of those things. If you smoke, quit smoking. Tobacco in the smoke form is it's not a good thing. Nicotine, I have mixed feelings about nicotine. I love nicotine, so I'll get it in some other form. The delivery method, it's a good cognitive booster, but the delivery methods for nicotine are normally bad. Cigars, cigarettes, vapes, things of that sort. Dip, all the things that we used to do before they're going to shorten your lifespan. So if you want to live quality years on the end, then you got to start thinking about that now in your 30s, late 30s, early 40s, because what you do in the first half of your life definitely dictates how the second half is going to go. I don't have a magic ball, but I do feel that at almost 45 years old, I feel phenomenal. I don't have crashes throughout the day. I'm able to sustain and charge harder than I ever have. And, short of some injuries that I have, I feel better now than I did in my 30s because of those things that I started, years ago that were just making better choices. I'm going to do better on more days than I'm going to do worse. Okay. I would keep it somewhere around 80% meat proteins and eggs. Stay away from beans too much. Yes, protein, but also high in carbohydrates, fats. Fats are not necessarily that bad for you, but high in carbohydrates, I tend to bloat more. Most important thing, more important takeaway out of all of this, right, is that there's no one cookie cutter solution to your problems, right? Every person is different. And my diet doesn't work for my wife. My wife's diet obviously doesn't work for me. Um, I have friends of mine that I have put on, you know, purely freaking carnivore diet, and then I have other ones where we mix it, maybe a little bit of carbohydrates. You do need some form of carbohydrates, better to help you burn energy, right? But figure out what works for you, and the only way to figure out what works for you is by trying new things. And if it doesn't work, shift your thinking, keep what's working, keep what's not work, or dispel what's not working. Whew. There you go. Sorry, I'm watching the game. Figure out what's not working, get that away, and just keep doing that until you got a program that's working for you. Okay? Go to the gym at least 3 days a week. If you hit 5, that's great. Don't work so hard that you break yourself. I try to keep it somewhere around 80%, that Firas Zahabi method, where if you train at 80% 5 days a week, you're going to train harder than if you train at 100% 3 or 4 days a week, right? You're going to get more training days throughout the year, and you're going to be able to come back the next day without breaking yourself so much that you tear a muscle or you hurt yourself. As you get older, you have to learn how to work smarter and not harder. Okay? That's not saying that you can't test yourself and, crank it up a notch every once in a while, right? But that shouldn't be how you train every single day. I feel like I have a killer mentality when it comes to everything. But when it comes to training, I like to incrementally build myself up to harden myself. So when I do have to go hard, that I'm already prepared for it, and that I'm not taking myself to the limit and then crossing it. Okay, so incrementally put yourself up to that limit, but you don't necessarily have to cross it on a regular basis. All right, that's pretty much all I got for this Sunday. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Hope you guys are spending some time with your family. God bless y'all. Have a good day. Keep pushing forward.